Reddit. What secret are you taking to the grave? NSFW. When I was a teenager, I was playing in a duo with a saxophonist. I played guitar on a cruise ship. The gig paid $200 each, and they gave me a check that I could cash and distribute to the saxophonist, who is also a really good friend. For a few weeks after the gig, I forgot about giving him the money, and he totally forgot as well. One day, I noticed the money in an envelope in my desk, and wondered how long it would take him to remember and ask me about it. He never did. I still have the money. He's still my friend, and I've never done anything like that since. But I can't bring it up now, and probably won't. It was the actions of Ingreedy, a whole past version of myself that I don't want to drag up at this point. I threw rocks at the school with one of my best mates and some other student tattled on us. Basically we both got the paddle. Basically they smack your bum. And they sent a letter home to my dad. My dad received the letter and I lied to him and said I never threw the rocks. My dad, bless his heart, believed me and took it to our school principal and convinced him that I wouldn't lie about such things. Since the principal wanted to rectify it for my dad's sake, he offered me a free voucher for an ice cream as an apology. It's 15 years down the track now, and I still feel really bad for it. I feel like if I told my dad now it would break his heart. When my brother committed suicide I was walking into his house to go hang out, and I never knock because we're best friends, so his house is my house and my house is his house. Anyway, I walked and got some food from the kitchen and figured he might have a girl over because usually he'll hear me and say what's up from across the house, so I didn't bother him. I've been in his house eating for about 10 minutes when I hear the gunshot that killed him. When anyone asks I tell them I found him like that. I don't think I'll be able to ever tell anyone I know that if I would have just knocked or walked down the hall I might have saved his life. When my cousin died a few years ago my family went over to his house to look around for a sense of closure. I ducked away for a bit and noticed his computer was still on. On his desktop was his PRN folder. I deleted it before my aunt and uncle saw it. I went to counseling for abuse after my parents divorced, and I was never abused, so they put me in the regular room with all the people there who were waiting for their siblings. I claimed my father abused me so I could go to the special room with all the abused kids. It was horrible. I had no right being in that room with all those people. They all were really messed up from what their parents had done to them, and I just got in so I could play Yu-Gi-Oh! This sounds like something Cartman would do. Uncle tragically passed away last year. Never married, no kids. Treated his 10 nieces and nephews like we could do no wrong. I also found out he was probably gay and I don't think he was out to my family, or at least to most of us. No one would have had a problem with it, but it's hard to come out when my grandma just wants to set her youngest, would have turned 50 in May, baby up with all the ladies. Yeah, no, she's persistent but means well, is also a tad oblivious at times, but she's in her 80s. Anyway, after he passed, my dad and I were in charge of finding files to the book he was supposedly writing about our family. We wanted to finish the book and publish it in his name. My dad was having no luck finding files on his HD, so I took a stab at it. Dad isn't the best at computers. I found dating site photos he had taken, shirtless mirror pics, photos of guys I assume he was talking to. Also saw his history when I was looking through his browser's bookmarks to get to his emails and accounts. I forget if I deleted it yet. If I haven't I will. I figured the search history was confirmation enough for me. I'm not sure if I'm going to take this to the grave or not. Several months ago I, 22, had I'm Lonely and Jill Lonely with my ex-girlfriend, 19. The next day we woke up and decided mutually that it was a mistake, we should move on, etc. Well, that small mistake turned into a larger one. She got pregnant. We wrestled with a lot of things for the next few weeks. Did she want to consider abortion? No. Did she want to consider adoption? Possibly. How do we tell our parents? My parents would be upset, then immediately turn into the supportive parents they are. Hers would absolutely cut her off, never talk to her again, completely disown her. They told her they would, hundreds of times, when she was growing up, so we struggled. 1 week turned into 2, which turned into 3. She was now 8 weeks pregnant. I get a call one night last week around 1 AM. She says that she is heading to the hospital, that something isn't right. I meet her there. She describes incessant bleeding and very, very bad cramps. After 5 hours in the hospital, The doctor confirms what we'd already begun to fear. She had had a complete miscarriage. Just like that. Then, she was no longer pregnant. Even in the middle of this terrible incident, she said she wanted no one to know about it. No one. About the pregnancy. About the miscarriage. About anything. I'm still conflicted. Miscarriages are very emotional events, and I can't go to my parents to talk it over with or hug it out with my best friend or anything. It's been a weird, rough few days. My dad's a National Socialist and he regularly goes to meetings. I was raised on Germanic folklore and the idea that I'm superior to others because I'm of German descent. I have plenty of Jewish and slavish friends and I just tell them my dad died when I was younger. One night I woke up with my mind in a twist. My mom was in the hospital at the time. I had a crazy urge to call them and check on her, but I reasoned not to because I couldn't think of an excuse, so I fell back to sleep. 5 AM I get a call that they checked on her and she didn't have a pulse. I just think there was something I could have done that destroys me to even think about it. Might as well get this off of my chest, without going into great detail. Purposely vague. More than 5 years ago I was a part of a group of 3-5 people that would successfully take the MCAT in place of others for a fee. We were all adept at taking the exam. Our clients were old money types with kids who could not make the cut, or didn't want to try. The fee was $100 K plus any other extra charges. Fake fingerprints, IDs, prosthetics, you name it, and we did it. I had no qualms doing this as my reasoning was if they can't pass the exam, how in the F would they get through med school steps? Take their money and let them fail out of med. No problems until one of the clients actually managed to get through school and had racked up some malpractice. Thankfully nothing too serious. It hit me hard to the point of attempted suicide. I quit and went to therapy and the group disbanded, for other reasons. Shortly thereafter, I'm doing much better now, but this info is staying with me from people that I know, and staying with you, random reader. I worked for a shipping company at a customer desk. A guy I had known came in to ship a package. He was a known dog dealer in my town. He didn't recognize me. The package was wrapped in duct tape. I took the package, brought it out back and made it disappear into my backpack. After my shift I opened the package, found $37,890 in cash. I never went back to the job, never heard anything about it. I left Texas a month later with cash in hand. Bacon is always the first food to be cooked by my father in the mornings. As a child, I would steal myself an extra piece and blame it on my little brother. Hence, I'd get a total of 3 pieces, and Browski would only get 1. Looking back, the oldest kid gets away with so much. Me and my girlfriend were playing Monopoly and she was so concentrated on the game, on the dice, on her properties. She was just so engrossed in the board that I was constantly taking money out of the bank and keeping it. I feel terrible about it because she was just so adorable trying to play the game and concentrate on trying to win. I absolutely annihilated her because I had so much money. She wasn't a sore loser about it. When we were done playing and it was obvious I had won, she just kind of sighed and we watched a movie. The whole time I couldn't stop thinking about how absolutely adorable she looked while trying to concentrate and play. The way she looked at the money she had and the properties she bought, like she was so proud of them, and I took advantage of that and stole money to win. I learned that from now on winning doesn't matter. I need to focus on having fun with her. But I will take this to the grave because if she ever finds out she'll be talking like nobody's business. I did this to my little brother all the time. He tried so hard but always lost because of my cheating ways. But then, when he was about 10, he entered my region's Monopoly competition and beat all these 40-year-old Monopoly geeks because of my secret training. He made it all the way to the national championships. I was so proud. In 5th grade I cheated on an exam. My buddy and I were the only 2 people in the grade who got this particular question correct, but I copied him. The worst part was he was considered dumb while I was at the top of the class, so the teacher was convinced that he copied me and he ended up getting suspended. Long story short, I was too much of a coward to admit that I was the one who cheated, as my parents would have murdered me if I failed the test, and even worse if I got suspended. Yeah, no, that's the messed up part. The teachers have no evidence of him cheating as there isn't any. They just base it off of like this, and that's messed up. A friend of mine confessed that a few years before I met her she got pregnant by a man who didn't want to have anything to do with the baby or her. She could not afford to raise the baby herself, so she continued with the pregnancy but did not tell anyone at work because she feared that she would be judged for it. She scheduled a C-section for Friday afternoon, took a half day off work, and was back on Monday. The baby was adopted by 2 of her friends. No one at work ever knew what she did. She said she was able to cover up her pregnancy by wearing extremely baggy clothes. My sister and I were on holiday together recently and very drunk one night when we got back from the bar. Naturally we started drinking more because we were on holiday. She has the ice cube tray in her hand, opens the window simultaneously and loses her focus and drops the tray 5 floors to the street, hitting a big guy square in the dome. He looks up and started screaming and shouting in Italian. I live in Rome, so I understood he was calling us some bad names. We just closed the window and continued drinking while we could hear this man shouting he was going to come up there and rip our heads off. Please never find me a scary Italian man. My parents took me to get my hearing checked when I was 12 because I wasn't responding when they called my name. I pretended not to hear some of the beeps in the hearing aid test room. As a result, I wore a hearing aid for 2 years when I was 12-14 years old. I don't know why I did that. My freshman year of college I was really hungover one morning and I was back at my parents' house for the rest of the weekend. I was wearing loose-fitting athletic shorts with no underwear, and kind of rocking back and forth in front of the TV to feel that satisfying slap. Any dude knows what I'm talking about. Well, I went to fart but instead a stream of diarrhea squirted out just at the right moment and completely missed my shorts but got all over the carpet. I went to the bathroom to grab some TP, and by the time I got back to the living room my dad was on his hands and knees cleaning it up and yelling at my dog. I've never had the heart to tell him it was my accident. It's nothing big. It's actually something really small and innocent and I've just decided to tell no one. I roll. When I was 5 years old, a friend at primary school, whose name is Jay, told me he liked a girl called A and asked me never to tell anyone. I never have and I never will. Almost 30 years and I haven't told anyone. Over the years I've thought about saying something to someone about it but I've never been able to bring myself to do it. Just something about the innocence of that promise, I guess. He wouldn't even care now. But 5-year-old Jay would and I don't want to break my promise to him. Not as huge as the other secrets here, but about 6 or 7 years ago I created a video together with my former boss. He was really passionate about it. After we put it up on YouTube I commented awesome with my private account from home. The next day he was really excited about this comment. Didn't know it was me and I'm going to keep it a secret. It is the only comment this video ever got, at least the last time I saw it. In my younger years I had a neighbor that constantly left a mess in the yard making it look like a junkyard, and they let their kids just run around defying up the entire neighborhood. I tried to sort it out civilly with them by asking them to stop doing things that pissed off everyone, but the only response I got was that I was racist and they would target me and say I touched their kids if I ever talked to them again. They were grade A holes, so I decided to respond in kind and made an anonymous tip to the cops that they were selling dogs. I did this for maybe 4 months, asking my buddies to make similar tips every now and then. Well, one day I come home from school. The whole neighborhood is outside on the street and the a-hole's house had cop cars and a van outside. Turns out the tips worked and the cops finally checked it out. But then I see the mother and father getting led out in cuffs. Turns out when the cops showed up it was just 2 officers. But when they went to the door to talk to them, the father took off out the back door. Long story short, that made the cops chase him down, drag him back, search the house and end up finding a ton of pills, coke, and weed stashed all over the house. Since they had kids, the hammer came down on the hard for that, and in the end they were both arrested for dealing and the kids were taken away. Not sure if it was the right thing, and I will never let anyone know, but at least after that they weren't effing up the neighborhood anymore. In 3rd grade, I cheated on my history exam. In 4th grade, I stole my Uncle Max's toupee and I glued it on my face when I was Moses in my Hebrew school play. In 5th grade, I knocked my sister Edie down the stairs and I blamed it on the dog. When my mom sent me to the summer camp for fat kids and then they served lunch, I got nuts and I pigged out and they kicked me out. But the worst thing I ever done, I mixed a pot of fake puke at home and then I went to this movie theater, hid the puke in my jacket, climbed up to the balcony and then I made a noise like this. Hooah 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 hooah, and then I dumped it over the side, all over the people in the audience, and then. This was horrible. All the people started getting sick and throwing up all over each other. I never felt so bad in my entire life. In GR10 my dad made a deal with me. If I got an average of 88% he'd buy me a new laptop. Well, the marks came in and I only got something like an 84-85% average. Well, F that. I want my laptop. So I went online to the regional school board's website and downloaded a PDF template of the report card. I don't know why they would have this available. Used a PDF editor to fill in the blanks and voila. Got a brand new laptop. No regrets. PS. After I did this, I started selling customized fake report cards for $50 each.